So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Michael Kerrigan from Garmin, and let's learn about some new Garmin products. Michael.
Thank you, John. Sorry about the delay. I was just teasing you, making sure you didn't have a heart attack about technical difficulties. So anyways, I think first and foremost, I want to say thank you to John and the staff at Sporties for hosting this afternoon. It's a little bit of an unusual time in the day for us to be doing webinars, but then again, it's great to capture so many folks who are at home, so many folks who I would have spoken to face-to-face down at Sun and Fun, Lakeland, Florida. And I'm really hoping I'll see all of you at Oshkosh, although we're waiting for the determination of that. John, if there's any problems as we get started here, if you can't see my screen, let me know, jump back in. Don't feel free to go ahead and interrupt me. I apologize if you're seeing the bottom toolbar on my screen. There were some difficulties right at the end setting this up, but we'll get through this. We'll introduce some new products. We'll talk about some additional products and some promotions. I won't keep you all day, but I will go through and we'll cover as much as we can. These webinars are a little bit difficult for me. I'm a presenter who typically feeds off the feedback from the crowd. And you know, by the time I'm done with a presentation, I usually know what half the crowd is flying, how they're operating their aircraft, what they currently have installed in the aircraft, and how they're using it. And I free flow and change that. So I'll do my best to cover as much as I can and add some information in from some recently asked questions while we were announcing this product in the last day or so. And but if you have additional questions about what we showed today or any others, feel free to write into aviation.sales@garmin.com. We have some great folks who take those questions and disseminate it amongst the team to answer them. So whether it's portable or apps, integrated flight deck solutions, etc., just send those along to us. Or of course, you can always get in touch with the folks there at Sporties as well to go through it. One of the great things of attending the air shows for me is bumping into so many existing customers who give me the rundown of, I owned the GPS map 296 and 396 and 496, and then we go through the whole gamut. And then they tell me about stepping up to the aera 500 series, which then brought additional solutions into it, and from the 6 to the large platform 696 that also did some graphically editing of flight plan capabilities, as well as showing approach plates in a larger format. We then moved over to the 796 and introduced synthetic vision. We also reintroduced a smaller form factor, the aera 660, with additional features. And we're really excited to introduce the new 7-inch, very bright sunlight readable display, aera 760. This is a dedicated GPS navigator. And while I'm sure most of us are already operating tablets, etc., I really enjoy the Aviation dedicated GPS unit that stays right in my flight bag. It goes from the airplane to the charger, back into my flight bag, waiting for my next flight. I do like the apps. I use quite a few of them, Garmin Pilot, and of course I test drive some of the competitive equipment out there. But those are typically, for me, a pre-flight tool. I really do like the dedicated GPS navigators in flight. So we're going to go through that, show some of the advantages of that or some of the different choices. But a very large 7-inch bright sunlight readable display, touchscreen capabilities of VFR and IFR. We have the ability to display traffic and weather, as well as some additional features that I'll show in just a few minutes. These have built-in GPS receivers with GPS and GLONASS, as well as the AHRS sensor. Now that asterisk there on AHRS sensor is because out of the box, this unit comes with the AHRS in the default position is off. For best performance, we want that AHRS turned on when you've panel docked this system. We also have helicopter specific, or as I like to say, helicopter and or low flying fixed wing aircraft specific features such as wire aware, so that not only we can see obstacles, but we'll also see power lines to avoid those. On the ground, we now have Wi-Fi capable connectivity through internet and weather, as well as automatic data downloads. And we're integrating with select Garmin avionics for additional features and functionality. At full brightness and receiving weather, traffic information, we have 4 hours of battery life. Of course, you can plug this into a USB port for additional power and additional time before using the battery life. Additionally, if we took and dropped that down just by 10 or 20%, you're going to extend the battery a significant amount. So typically in a general aviation aircraft, this battery is going to outlast your fuel tanks, or as I like to joke in person at the air show, your bladder. So typically you're going to want to sit down before this battery would give out if you did not hook it up to ship's power. We have dynamic displays that are rich, interactive 7-inch touchscreen display, twice as bright as many tablets. They are big, dynamic, data-driven mapping. We can put this in portrait or landscape display options. The brightness can be set to auto to adjust to the environment. And we've got intuitive interfaces for pinch to zoom and or panning around on the various pages. To give you a size comparison, since you can't see it live right now, although the folks at Sporties have not only seen it live, demoed it, and then did a really nice video PyRep of it, and you can see it there and how it fits on John's knee board and yoke mounts, etc. But in comparison to the existing smaller unit, the aera 660, we're quite a bit larger both in width and height. And then, of course, what we're doing here is we're going to compare this. A lot of folks are going to compare this to the existing aera 796, and you're going to see that the display area is very similar in size, but it's substantially lighter and thinner with a very powerful battery. So new technology, making it thinner and lighter for, say, a yoke mount, panel dock, or a knee mount. So much easier use of equipment here. With that, some of the things that I talked about, that integrated GPS and GLONASS satellite receiver that's already on board inside this unit, displaying rich interactive maps with overlays on the moving map. We have the ability to view the airport information strictly by one touch for airport information or runway information for length or traffic pattern. Frequencies we could view, NOTAMs, FBO information, and where we say more, it could be as for fuel prices, and we can color code those based on price as well. Smart airspace, which has been around for a little while, and Garmin portables is available, so that if we're flying 7,000 feet above a Class D, we're not bothered by the altitude restrictions on that. Same as if we're trying to get underneath a Bravo or between layers, we get that information. It's very easy to read and stay and pay attention to. We're now creating flight plans with full IFR procedure capabilities for IFR departures, arrivals, full approaches, published holds that are scalable depending on the airspeed of the aircraft, user-defined holds over an existing fix. So for so long, the GPS map 396, 496, 696, etc., when loading an approach, would load the approach to the final approach fix and in, but it would not load the entire procedure. Now you're loading a Victor airway for the navigation, loading a procedure, final initial approach fix, and it's displaying that entire procedure on your moving map for you to review before you activate and load. We have the ability to load those Victor airways as one. So you would tap on, say, BOS, tap on it, load airway, Victor 1, CHS, our departing point or exit point. Charleston is VOR, and then our destination, say Charleston, and every waypoint on Victor 1 between Boston's VOR and Charleston's VOR automatically gets loaded in there. So it's a seamless user interface similar to GTN Garmin touchscreen navigators, the 650s, the 750, the G1000, NXI integrated flight decks, the G3000s or 5000s. So much of what you're doing here on the aera 660 is extending out the Garmin user interface of chapters and pages that's throughout the Garmin product line. So it's easy to operate, whether you're the student pilot going through your commercial and CFI and graduating up into the right seat of a G5000 equipped Sovereign, you're going to feel comfortable transitioning through those aircraft, at least as far as the avionics are concerned. So a very seamless integration, whether you're going from up market integrated flight decks down to a backup GPS portable navigator, or from the GPS portable navigator moving upstream. Either way, we've got our simple navigation, our direct to functionality capability. You see the direct to button on the lower right hand side. We're going to hit direct to. We're going to KLAL like we're going to Sun and Fun. Hope next April, I guess. And then we're going to hit activate and load, and off we go onto there. We could, of course, enter any direct course to get to that waypoint as well. We also have automatic menu of nearest airports or VORs or other waypoints, including user defined. In many cases on the moving map, I change the data field to give it that nearest airport. If something's going on, if the cockpit's getting busy and I'm in some sort of emergency situation, hit on to the nearest airports, pick the airport, pick direct to, draw a quick line and course and head on over to get yourself out of trouble. Simple, easy navigation. You'll see those data fields over on the display of that 7-inch right there. Any one of those data fields could be changed by pushing the menu key, change data field, touch on the data field and change it to the information you want. We all fly a little bit different. We all operate in different environments and different aircraft. And even for those of us who are operating multiple aircraft on any given week, we can take this equipment with us and change it if it's a VFR day, if it's an IFR day, if we're moving from a helicopter to a float plane to a jet, etc. But easy, simple changing of profiles to the information we want. Here we've got increased awareness. I can tell you that my eyes are not getting any younger. I like the bigger platform. While I love the clarity and resolution of the aera 660, I'm a big fan of the larger display, that 7-inch display on this aera 760. But I'm able to view the ground references like airports and cities and terrain information. On the terrain page, I can see the terrain on the map style or in the profile style as well, which you'll see in a moment. And we can set our position above the terrain and obstacles on that moving map, and as we move through. All right, there's your terrain and there's your profile view of terrain, so we can look quickly and know if we're going to clear that mountain. Looks like I want to climb just a little bit through there. And that color coding changes based on our proximity and our altitude as well. All right. Some charting options. We have geo-reference charts. So there we are on that. Geo-reference charts for myself, if I was talking to you there, you know, in the hangar down there at Sun and Fun, I'd tell you that I am a track up flyer. So for sectional, it gets a little tricky for me. I have to go back and forth between north up and sectional so that I can read that. I typically stay on the dynamic driven maps, the data driven maps. But VFR sectionals have been requested many, many times by a lot of our customers, and they are available, as well as IFR and route charts, Garmin flight charts, Jeppesen terminal charts available as well, all geo references. And we have airport diagrams, including showing of hot spots, etc. We do also, geez, I should go back one there. We also have the ability to show global charting offers, including visual reporting points for our friends over in Europe. And like I said, safe taxi diagrams of well over 1,000 different ones. Everything from your large airports like, Los Angeles International to Claremont County, the home of Sporties. I'm looking forward to getting back out there on a Saturday and having a grilled hot dog once that reopens. Anyways, we'll go through cockpit integration. We're integrating with select Garmin avionics. Some of that's going through with Bluetooth connection. Others are happening with RS-232 data cables directly linking those. But we're allowing that to transfer frequencies, or in some cases, flight plans directly back and forth. And we're connecting with compatible ADS-B sources with displaying weather and traffic as well. We're transferring flight plans to the compatible navigators, such as 430Ws, 530Ws. So the ability to put those Victor Airway flight navigations, flight plans straight into a 430 by using our Portable One and our Flight Stream technology. And we're able to go in and view that as well. So on the weather side of things, we're able to display ADS-B or FISB weather using an ADS-B receiver, or Sirius XM weather, as long as we have an XM receiver. On the FISBs, we have multiple receivers that can go on here. The Garmin Data Link portables, the 50, 51, 52, etc. Those come through Bluetooth capability over onto this. The GDL 39 3D series is Bluetooth capable. The Garmin transponder, the 345 for ADS-B compliance out, as well as weather and traffic receiving from 1090 sources air to air, or 978 receiving from the ground stations, come up into the transponder and will Bluetooth over onto the aera 660. One Bluetooth connection is allowed, or that's all that will work at any one given time. So we introduced this product yesterday in a public release, and quickly we got, how many Bluetooth connections can I have with an aera 760? And I can tell you that it is one. The Garmin Nav transponder, the 375, our certified IFR GPS navigator plus 1090 transponder, also receives weather and traffic, bringing that information in and displaying it on the aera 660, as well as on the GNX 375. So in that situation, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. You're getting the display on your GNX 375, as well as over on. So maybe you're looking at traffic on the 375 and toggling back and forth of traffic and flight plan. And on the aera 760, you've got it set up as an MFD for a moving map overlaid with weather. But you're getting a lot of use out of the information that you already have on board. If you want Sirius XM satellite weather coverage, GDL 51 or 52 data link receiver then goes over and connects to this via Bluetooth for weather and also audio capabilities and control. We go through the 760 on traffic, and what we're displaying here is ADS-B traffic showing relative motion. And I can tell quickly by looking at the relative motion and the targets from those green lines extending off the nose of these aircraft, whether or not those aircraft are a threat to me. Are we going to, do I need to change my course, change, et cetera? But is that relative motion of that aircraft a threat factor? Are they traveling faster than me? Are I traveling faster than them? Are we ever going to connect given our ground speeds, et cetera? But that ADS-B traffic information is coming from either the certified transponder that may be on board, the GTX 345, or the Garmin IFR navigator and transponder, the 375, or our portable receivers, the 5052 or the GDL 39 3D series. Target trend and terminal traffic are Garmin exclusive features. We will display some other ADS-B receivers, but it would not have those advanced features of relative motion coming from there. There's your terminal traffic, including hotspots. 3D vision, or some would call SVX, or synthetic vision, is coming through a 3D representation of the surrounding terrain and obstacles based on our altitude. We're overlaying ground speed and our altitude, vertical speed information. This is coming from that onboard AHRS, and that is, we really want you to panel mount it if you're going to get your highest level of performance on that. You can certainly unlock it and have it on your knee board, but if you notice some bank angles changing, it might be because you're just adjusting, your legs in the cockpit. With that, we're displaying bank angle, climb, airspeed, altimeter, slip capabilities. We're showing our slip displays. This built-in attitude and heading reference sister is providing that SVX when panel mounted. Like I said, it will still work on your knee or on a knee board. It's just not as accurate as if you had panel mounted it. Receiving the information from AHRS outside, we could get it through a Bluetooth connection from, once again, those 345, 375, or the Garmin DataLink GDL 50 series, as well as the 39-3D, because that has AHRS as well. Tailored helicopter features, so anybody who's going to take this out in Jet Ranger or an R44, etc. Plenty of helicopter operators use Garmin portables. We're going to see those wire strike avoidance technology, or wire aware, overlaying that. Also a really good feature for low flying fixed wing aircraft such as float planes, or what I often like to do in some friends 170Bs, etc. But with that, we're going to get some alerting for obstacle, terrain, wire aware, oral alerting coming through our audio headset, and we're getting a lot of information here to keep us nice and safe. We have the ability to load topography or street maps, but unlike previous, say, aera 500 series, this is not a street navigator, a turn-by-turn automotive navigator. We do have the ability to enter a street address and fly direct to, which is great for EMS operators, photo sightseeing, search and rescue, etc. But it is not to be taken out used in the car. It would be a direct line of sight, but it would not give you road turn by turn. I used to have fun at all the shows when fellas told me that they were power users of the 496, and I would tell them that I knew an old hidden feature of in aviation mode on the GPS map 496. If you hit the nearest button 3 times, you could enter an address and fly direct to it. Well, it was such a well-received feature that we've added it in here into this, and we're no longer making it an Easter egg. We're telling you right up front that this capability is available. Some people really, really like that, depending on how they operate their aircraft. If you want to send in a note to aviation.sales@Garmin for you guys who still have GPS map 496s, and I went a little too quick there, send it along. Some of the newer people won't know, but they'll know how to reach out to some of the guys who've been here a long time and know a lot of the old Easter eggs that are in the products. Anyways, we'll go through electronic flight bag capabilities, calculating E6B calculations, as well as fuel burns, estimated time of arrivals, etc. We can also hit that menu button, change those data fields to some other information that we'd want, change our weight and balance, or calculate it, depending on who's coming with us that day or how much fuel's on board. PDF of viewer capabilities, would have to load those in so that we could read those in as we pre-flight, etc. And our logbook capabilities to start maintaining our electronic logbook here. Wi-Fi connectivity for when we're on the ground, or I like to say when we're flying below, a couple thousand feet in non-rural areas. You're probably going to pick up more information than you realize, including wireless worldwide internet weather, fuel price data, including those color-coded fuel prices, and the ability to download aviation databases from our Fly Garmin accounts so that we're updating that software wirelessly. We're going right through and seeing If we have other equipment in the aircraft and want to hardwire it to an RS-232 cable to say a 430 or 530W or GTN 650 or 750 or the newer Garmin touchscreen navigators, the 650XI or 750XI, as well as the Navcoms 255, transmitters 225, etc. That data cable is an option. It is not part of the standard kit, but it is an option that can be bought, and I would suggest your avionics shop or someone like a Cincinnati Avionics, go ahead and wire that up for full functionality as well. And we can couple our aera 760 to select autopilots for VFR navigation, flying some lateral GPS tracks. Some of the accessories that are in the box, of course, the unit itself with the battery in there and the GPS and AHRS already on board, our mounting cradle, with our power cable, AC adapter, USB-C cable as well, quick start manual, and as I said, as some options, the yoke mount, and also a Hardwire power cable. The yoke mount was a product that we often had in there, is always in there, but so many folks were panel docking these or knee boarding them that we had a lot of folks tell us that it wasn't necessary to include the yoke mount in the box. So it is an option to purchase through Sporties or other retailers. We try to make databases for these as a la carte and as easy as possible. You can purchase those through flygarmin.com. In many cases, what we're doing here is we're making it optional for the reason that a lot of folks already have these navigation databases in their IFR certified navigator, 430s, 530s, GTNs, etc. And there's no reason to double up on that unless their operation requires it. So with that, if you wanted to do a single obstacle update, it would be $39.95, or an annual bundle for all of that, the navigation database, flight charts, IFR and VFR charts, terrain, etc. It's an annual subscription through Fly Garmin at $169.95, and those are all available. Excuse me. So to recap, lighter, brighter, better battery, thinner, 7-inch, very bright, sunlight readable touchscreen display, full VFR capabilities, IFR, full IFR procedure capabilities. And don't get me wrong, here's the disclaimer, this is not an IFR certified navigator. This is to display your Part 91 IFR approach plates, to load your Victor Airways in for flight planning. But if you were to be ramp checked, and you filed /Gulf, they would like to see the certified IFR GPS navigator that you use to fly that approach. So don't misunderstand IFR capabilities versus certified IFR product and navigator. We're displaying traffic, weather, PDFs. We've got built-in AHRS sensor. We've got helicopter and low flying aircraft specific features, Wi-Fi capabilities on the ground. We're integrating with your certified navigators and/or transponders to get more feature and functionality and capabilities out of your existing cockpit. And we have up to 4 hours of battery life at full brightness without pushing it, without powering it up to ship's power. So one of the things that is real exciting is that the advertised price of this, or the minimum retail price, is $1,499. We're announcing it yesterday, and we are expecting to ship before the end of the month of May. So we're going to get those out to you guys as quickly as we can. With that, am I right for this? Well, as I said, an example customer that I might be talking to at, say, a live presentation at Summit Fun or Oshkosh or a dealer visit, somebody with a 430 or 530W has told me for years that they wished it had Victor Airway navigation, but they're not an iPad user for Garmin Pilot or et cetera, and they don't use that. This is a tremendous opportunity to now have Victor Airway capabilities of bi-directional flight planning capabilities with the aera 760 and our flight stream connectivity capabilities. So that's a great upgrade feature, not only to the existing aera 760 backup dedicated GPS navigator that you're adding, but also for your legacy GNS 430W or 530W. It's a great upgrade for anybody who's got a GPS 696 or an aera 796 that they've had for a number of years and they're looking to upgrade that. They're looking for something a little bit lighter with a stronger battery. That's a great upgrade opportunity. Anybody who's added a G5 into their aircraft, this could be a tremendous way to add an additional, moving map display. I'll tell you, if I had that friend of mine's 170B, I would be putting in a GPS 175 with a 106B CDI indicator and an aera 760 for my MFD, a moving map, as a backup GPS navigator as well. Now I've got a certified IFR GPS with an indicator, with a backup GPS navigator and a moving map and a large display. Because this particular friend has a GTX 345 in there already as his ADS-B transponder out, I now also would have weather and traffic displayed on that 760 panel docked with synthetic vision. It's an incredible panel upgrade to an aircraft like that. But it's complementary to the GPS 175, 255, or 375. The GPS 175 is available also to buy through the Sporty's catalog or online store. Some other recent updates also available to purchase at Sporty's, at least the base model here, is the GI 275, which is a 3.125-inch round solid state digital representation from your six-pack. So we're changing out or removing or replacing mechanical gyros with upgraded solid state digital bright sunlight readable displays. Touchscreen displays with concentric knobs, compatible with Garmin and other third-party autopilots like the KFC 200 or CAP 140, etc. We've got built-in wireless connectivity, once again, to get the most bang for our buck, given our certified products that are on board, and we want to trade that information off and send it off to other areas. And this is also available with a 60-minute battery backup for emergency situations, approved for installation in over 1,000 aircraft on the approved model list for class 1, 2, 3, and 4 aircraft. Unfortunately, it is not approved for helicopter or rotorcraft. And this is from single engine piston all the way up into the turbine class airplanes. And we do have some dealers who are working on STC projects for the jet market as well. But the base model is for multifunction display, engine instrument systems, and also CDIs. This includes the moving map right there that you see. Those base models, including backup battery options, are available to purchase at Sporty's as well as all the other Garmin authorized dealers. The AHRS and AHRS Plus autopilot interface need to be purchased over at an authorized Garmin install shop such as Cincinnati Avionics, where you deal with the folks such as Chuck Gallagher, Scott Cole, and Greg, et cetera, for that kind of work. Also based there at Claremont County Airport in Ohio. With that, with the EIS, we've got dedicated primary engine instrument system. We're replacing a factory engine gauge with a new digital solid state representation for singles and or twin pistons for 4- and 6-cylinder Lycoming. We're displaying that engine fuel and data equipment utilizing one GEA24, or we're going and showing EGT, CHT, lean assist capabilities, integrated fuel computers, exceedance alerts as well. We're going through and showing all that information, which is downloadable and can be ported over onto a Garmin pilot app through your Fly Garmin account, print it out, send it on off to your mechanic or savvy for analysis if you think something's going on with your power plant and you want it reviewed. But this is a tremendous EIS system that we're sending off and getting not only displaying it, but hey, you went out, you did a flight, you came back, you had a little concern about something, you review that information and send it off to an expert to have it analyzed and make sure and do some preventative maintenance to make sure that you don't have an issue in the air. Great opportunity to once again integrate all of your equipment across all the platforms through Garmin, through the Garmin equipment, through the Garmin app, through the website, and kicking on off for analysis. That GI 275 can be updated directly through our USB ports, the GSB15s. We can use this for database updating, and we can also use that, of course, for auxiliary power, powering up to 2 iPads with 3 amps of power simultaneously. They're not sharing that power, and we have halo lighting around it, so it's easily findable in the evening. Small, lightweight, easy install. I'm seeing a lot of these going in, not only just on the panel or one on the left or one on the right, but now I'm seeing older aircraft that are upgrading to the rear seats having stereo headsets. They're now putting USB jacks in the back. I get I like it, of course, but I get a little bit surprised when I see a Cherokee 180 going in and getting 4 or 5 sets of USB ports. I always, maybe I'm a little bit big. I didn't always have too many people riding in the back seat with me in Cherokees. Anyways, some of our current new promotions, portables available through Sporties and other retailers. We have portable rebates now available through May 29th, the GDL Data Link series for ADS-B and/or Sirius receiving available. And then our watch line, the D2 Delta Premium Series, $100 rebates on the D2 Delta, the D2 Pulse Ox, the PX, and the D2 Delta XS, which is a little bit smaller form factor, so that the really big, large 51mm watches are not for everybody. But those are available. We also have some upgrade promotions for your certified products. The GNS 430s, 530s, or CNX 80, 480s can upgrade to the GTN XI program, and we'll take those in and trade through the authorized dealer and give that dealer a credit towards your install that he shares along with you. And we go in, we'll give you a little bit extra if you're bundling that in with a new transponder or new audio panel as well. And those discounts and promotions are available through May 29th as well. TXI, so our legacy G500, 600 primary flight display and multi-function display cockpits. If you wanted to move up to the newer TXI displays, we can take those, we call them GDU 620s, but basically the display, we'll take those back. All of your AHRS systems, air data computer, magnetometers, probes, etc., those all stay. Your displays get changed out, and we'll offer you an upgrade and a credit on that as well, and that's through the end of May. So a lot of work available to be done, a lot of upgrade, a lot of new features, functionality available. The GPS 175 2-inch navigator can replace right in that spot of some of those old King GPS navigators, or even the Loran spots, if any of those are still out there. Those can go in, and the GPS navigator CDI combination with a 106B will give you about $1,000, a little more than $1,000 discount. And that discount is all worked out through the dealers, whether it's Sporties, Cincinnati Avionics, etc. But we've got our WASP GPS navigator, 2-inch size with LPV approaches to 200 minimums, built-in Bluetooth connectivity capability, and that discount is running right through the end of the summer, August 30th. All right. So it's a little something to help you pass the time while we're quarantined away. E-learning promotions through Fly Garmin. Take 10% off any e-learning course, whether it's the Garmin GTN Essentials, our TXI for primary flight displays, multifunction displays, aviation weather radar course, or integrated flight deck G3000 and 5000 essentials. Those can be all obtained at a discount of 10%. And with that, John's going to come back on here in a moment. I apologize if I was talking a little too fast. It's hard to set my pacing without getting the customer feedback and the nods and the hands and the questions. So when John comes back here, we're going to discuss any questions that I didn't cover. I tried to jump in with a few, such as how many Bluetooth connectivity this is currently showing. Even with the ARs, we're showing GPS altitude and ground speed, not true airspeed. But if you have additional questions about anything related to Garmin Aviation, please forward them along to aviation.sales@garmin.com, and we'll get back to you very, very quickly.
Yeah,
John, I think I heard you come back in.
yeah, thanks, Michael. That's great. A lot of good stuff there. I'm totally biased, but the pace of innovation at Garmin over the last year has just been amazing. So thanks for showing off some of the new goodies. A lot of good questions here. A lot of them on the aera 760. So a couple that came up multiple times. One is maybe you hit on a little bit in terms of the size, but definitely some 796 owners in the audience today and looking for some kind of comparisons of, some differences there. Obviously, it's thinner, but some other features, whether it's the approaches. You want to run down just a couple of the highlights that if somebody's looking to upgrade from a 796, what they can expect?
So a couple of the big things for me were that 7 inches of weight was something originally I didn't think was going to be a big deal. And if you remember on the 796, it's not a flat back. It starts out flat, then it gets curved, then it comes back. So it wasn't easy to put on your knee board. And like you, John, I fly Sierras quite a bit, and so put it on the knee board. It's a little bit. It wasn't my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But the weight was a very, very significant difference. I also think one of the major differences is being able to load your full IFR approaches on this. That's a major difference, so that now that when I'm picking an approach and I'm not sure which initial approach fix I want, which one of the T's, now I can quickly see where I'm coming in from to pick the initial approach before I put it into my GTN 650 or 430W, et cetera. So those are just a couple of the really quick areas that I found super, super easy.
Yeah, I'd agree that my testing with it, Michael, the full instrument approaches is a big deal. It is just basically like using the latest model GTN 750, which is pretty amazing.
Quite a discount from the 750.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, about 90% off. A couple questions on databases and all that. You addressed that a little bit, but maybe just highlighting specifically, you can do either a one-time update if you want. It is, after all, a VFR portable GPS, so you don't have to do every single update. But then there are the subscriptions if you want to do the annual bundle, which is a big savings. One question that came in that you mentioned some of the helicopter features like the wire aware. That does require a different subscription than the standard. Is that right?
That is my understanding, correct. So one of the things about and I'm a little bit of a spoiled pilot, meaning that when I get in the airplane, especially a Garmin owned airplane, all the databases are done for me. So I'm a little spoiled in that way. The other, of course, though, is for your standard owner operator, it's all based a la carte on what's important to you. From a VFR flyer, maybe I'm only updating the obstacles once a year, and that's what I do. Somebody else, though, if fully equipped aircraft, meaning a GTN 750 with a 650 and an aera 760, et cetera, we have the one pack option where you're going to go in and you're going to check off all the equipment that is on board your aircraft or what you're bringing on board. And then we do one full subscription. So it's not only the one-time database or the annual subscription for the 760, but it's also integrating it with the full aircraft and then getting a discount on everything you own. And in many times it's upwards of 60% off on all the databases that by doing it as a one pack through flygarmin.com.
Yeah, flygarmin.com, for those who haven't seen, is a really great resource for managing all those databases and everything.
Yeah. One other thing, John, is we have a tremendous group in our pilot ops area who spend a good portion of their day assisting customers who call in to walk through what database they should be getting to get the most bang from their buck on the Fly Garmin account. So we've got a lot of guys to answer questions on databases through the pilot ops team. If you go into Garmin's Aviation website, you'll find a quick number to call in, and those guys are ready to help.
Yeah, great point. Here's another question that came up from a few different folks, and I don't know if you can answer this based on your experience, but some folks saying that they fly with an iPad and that they have some heat issues where it can overheat and shut down, and they're wondering if the 760 would be a little more robust in a hot cockpit in the summertime with the sun beating down. Any experience or personal feel on that?
So the initial, well, it's a little tough at this time of year, right? We
Yeah.
have been testing this, but we've been testing this product for a while. We didn't develop just recently and put it out, but one of the nice things is we're about to hit. So the answer is a quick yes from the sales guy. Of course, it's more robust, and of course, you're going to have a better experience. But additionally, customer feedback's the best. So that's why I love doing presentations at Sun and Fun and Oshkosh and et cetera, because quickly we find out who in the room owns different product. And I always say, don't ask me, ask him. So quickly you will find out that Sporty's is going to sell these products into customers in Arizona and Florida who are already ahead of the curve on the heat, and those customers are going to post their experiences on various forums, Copa and Cirrus, so Cirrus owners and Beach Talk, and even on Sporties in the review area, et cetera. And you're quickly going to get it from the consumer versus, that slick sales guy.
Fair enough. I think my limited flying with it sure seems like it did pretty well on a pretty sunny day, but as you say, time will tell. Lots of questions, as you'd expect. I've always suspected, Michael, that a whole bunch of these Garmin 660s and 796s get built into panels and connected to panels, and there's obviously that strong connectivity with Garmin avionics. Maybe just if you could review or walk through a couple of those scenarios where what can I do wirelessly versus wired? Maybe I can do wirelessly if I have a flight stream or a GTX 345, but for some of the things, maybe with the GNS series navigator, I'm going to need that bare wire kit. Could you just maybe walk through a couple of those more likely scenarios?
Sure. So the wirelessly is going to be a little bit easier because so much of the newer product and a lot of it's already out there in aircraft who just went through ADS-B compliance.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's the number one ADS-B transponder for anybody, it's the GTX 345, and that's then Bluetooth connecting from the 345 over to the aera 760 for weather, traffic, AHRS, et cetera. That's all going through. The only thing that's not going through on that would be the flight plan capability for bidirectional, and that's an example of when a hardwired RS-232 data cable would be required, because the GTX 345 does not do the flight plan transfer. You would need the flight stream connectivity or a hardwire. So, a Flight Stream 510, the multimedia card that goes into the slot where the SD card would otherwise be. That's one example. So often the RS-232 cable would go in with a GNS 430 or 530W. And what it's happening there, not that it's necessary, but it's feeding the GPS WASP signal from that GNS 430W into that aera 760. The GNS 430W does not have Bluetooth connectivity. It would require another gateway, such as the Flight Stream 210, integrated with it to do it. If you didn't have the 210, you would use the RS-232 to make that connection. So newer technology, the GNS the GTNs and GNX and GTX 345s, you're going to use the Bluetooth connection. Older Navcoms, for SL30s, 40s, GNC 255s, those GNC Navcoms, you're going to use an RS-232 data cable, etc.
Yeah, and I'll just echo personal experience there, Michael. I used to fly an aircraft that had a 430 in it and had an aera 660 wired in there. And, you know, it takes a little bit of work from an avionics shop, not a lot, but once that's wired in, wow, that really is convenient, being able to just keep portable and panel always in sync there.
Yeah, I mean, long gone are the days of buying a GMX200 standalone multifunction display for $10,000 or $12,000 to show your moving map, flight plan, weather, and traffic on. When you can put in a big 7-inch dynamic mapping system like this for $1,500. It's amazing what's happened in the last few years.
One more question, then we'll let you go. This one on the GPS 175 had some folks, attracted to that for an affordable upgrade, maybe to an older panel.
Sure.
I know this is an incredibly loaded question, but ballpark folks looking for installation pricing on that. If I've got say an older KLN 89B, or a VFR GPS, and I'm not going to rip my panel apart, but I want to just replace an old GPS or even Loran with one of these. What's like a really rough number I can look at for thinking about an installation on that? Any advice?
Well, because I was smart enough to hear at the start of the presentation that you said you were recording this, I would have 600 Garmin dealers yelling at me that wasn't fair. But truly what it is you're not making a panel modification for an existing KLN 90B coming out, so that's going to make it lower. I also, because we allow some of these more simple installations of a simple GPS navigator to be done by your local A&P mechanic who isn't necessarily an avionics technician, that yes, they can do it. Yes, we're confident that they'll do it properly and everything will be good, fine. But he might not move at the same speed as the avionics electrician who's working on this stuff every day. So it just wouldn't be fair. The other is, typically it's never just one thing being done. And the quote for that one gentleman isn't the same as the one who's doing the 175 and the audio panel and the something else. And it's very, very, very rare to see apples to apples, or and easy for me to make that estimate. But
fair enough. I knew I couldn't pin you down on that. I was just testing you. But I will say, you make a valid point about when you're doing something like that, it's an avionics stack modification more than a total panel gut. So it is on the scale of avionics jobs, it is generally an easier, faster, less expensive install.
Yes. Yep.
We're about up to our time, everybody, about 3 o'clock here Eastern. So I want to thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for all the great questions. Again, we will have a recording of this webinar posted the next couple days. You can check out sporties.com/Garmin for all the Garmin products that Michael talked about. You've got the email address on screen there for follow-up questions. And you can visit sporties.com/webinars for our next series of webinars